This week on Previews World Weekly, Riverdale turns 100. We react to that Across the Spider-Verse trailer and engage in some more scary AI talk. Oof. Archie, spiders, and robots. Where else can you find a weird combo like that? We've got it all, and we're tackling it right now on Previews World Weekly.
What's up, Previous World? It's Wednesday. It's New Comic Book Day, which means it's time for Previous World Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood, aka the Duchess of Free Comic Book Day, and I can officially say next week we'll be announcing our Free Comic Book Day title. So keep an eye out on the Free Comic Book Day social and web pages if you want to get that full list.
Absolutely. And I actually want to say this episode, again, is brought to you by the Previews Holiday Gift Guide. If you're listening to the show right now, then you can go on over to actually previewsworld.com while you listen and browse through the catalog right now. It's available. It's actually sitting on our front page right now. So, yeah, If you're curious what the Holiday Gift Guide is, of course, I'll explain to you a little bit later on today what it is. But you can also find out for yourself while you listen to this week's show. So check that out. Oh, here you go. Johnny's got it right there. Boom. There you go. Right on the front page. See, I wasn't a liar. I was telling the truth.
Sometimes we lie, not all the time.
Sometimes we lie, not all the time. We don't deliberately lie. Sometimes we just are misinformed. How about that?
There you go. Yeah.
Like anything else on the internet. We're no more guilty than anything else on the internet. Good afternoon, Dave. What's going on, man? How's it going? Yeah, thanks for joining the chat. Ashton, you might as well get down to I feel like every 2 weeks we get into obligatory Riverdale talk.
Yeah, I mean, it probably wouldn't be obligatory if I weren't here and present, but I make it obligatory.
You know what? But your passion makes me I'm actually very curious about this episode, but your passion for Riverdale makes me more and more curious about this show. So how about you tell us, Riverdale's turning 100, right? Is that the deal?
It is.
That's cool.
So I believe that is next week's episode will be Riverdale's 100th episode. It'll also be their 5th episode in this weird like Riverdale storyline they've done, which is like this alternate supernatural horror universe where they're just murdering all of their main characters for the fun of it.
Okay.
Because they can. But so this 100th episode, even though it's in this like alternate timeline, is going to function as a love letter to Archie comics. And so all of the characters will appear in the like original comic traditional appearance. So Archie's got on his sweater vest with the R, like Jughead's around with the goofy crown nobody ever bothered to explain. And so everybody appears the way they looked in the comics when Archie first came out in the 40s. And they've even brought back some fan favorite characters like Dilton Doily and Ethel Muggs, and you can see Pops. Pops had left after the 4th season. So they're really bringing everybody back to give it like a proper send-off, or not like a send-off, but like, you know, that love that they've been able to build this show around that. And I'm super excited about it.
Yeah. And also shout out to that little comic rack right there in the front.
Right.
With all that, with actual Archie comics in it. That's actually pretty cool. I love that. Yeah. Actually, you know what? So I've been thinking about something. I was thinking about something as we were putting the outline together when I knew we were going to talk about Riverdale. Like Archie comics traditionally has never had a very hard continuity, right?
Correct.
Like it's always kind of like, okay, this thing connects to this thing. These characters have always known each other for this period of time. Sometimes you'll get a little bit of a character background of how certain characters met, right? But for the most part, yeah, I feel like the Archie stories have historically been anything goes, right?
Pretty much.
And I kind of occurred to me the other day, I was like, you know what, in that regard, Riverdale is actually doing exactly what Archie is supposed to do, if that makes any sense. Like
that's super smart. That's a really good catch. I hadn't even thought about it like that.
You know, it's not like, you know, it's not like the Marvel universe where, you know, this storyline leads into that storyline and this storyline leads into that storyline. You know, it is kind of always been, up until I say fairly recently, there really hasn't been like a through line from like chapter to chapter in Archie comics, you know? Every now and then someone will come in with something.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just every now and then someone will come in with like something they want to connect, but other than that, not really. So what are you about to say?
Yeah, like when Mark Waid took the reins a few years back, like he kind of created like a continuity for what they call like the modern Archie comics. But other than that, it is just kind of all over the place and the same characters show up all the time, but there isn't really like a continuity. And now that you pointed out, like that's something they've actually done throughout the entire life of Riverdale. Like they've tried their hands at a bunch of different things. They've done musical episodes. They've done different like, you know, like Dungeons and Dragons plots and like murder plots and supernatural plots. And now they're doing this weird like horror thing. And it's really interesting that they have managed to create like an episodic series that somehow still captures like the essence of Archie comics.
Right. Yeah, I actually think that is really interesting. Riverdale's a great show. Hey, Marco. Definitely got a fan in the audience. Archie comics is more about fun and less continuity. Yeah, I agree. That's absolutely true. And like I think that's totally cool. So yeah, it just was a realization I had when I was like looking at the Archie thing, the Riverdale conversation we're going to have, and I was like, you know, actually that kind of works in its own weird way. So absolutely. I don't know if you had a chance to watch the 8-Bit Christmas.
Not yet, but after both your and Johnny's reviews of this, I have to get to it.
I mean, I will openly admit that it probably holds a different weight as a child of the 80s, which I know Johnny and I both are. But at the same time, you know, I don't like geek exploitation. You know, I'll call it that, right? Okay. And so when I first saw that this was on HBO Max, I didn't even look at the description. I was just sort of like, 8-Bit Christmas, absolutely not watching this at all. Forget it. But you know, Liz was watching it, and I just happened to go back upstairs while she was watching it, and like about 15 minutes in, I was like, yeah, start this over again. Like, what is this? And so the best way I could describe it is it's on HBO Max, first of all. And the best way I can describe it is like Christmas Story, which Johnny also pointed out, meets The Wizard. Now, The Wizard was like this 80s like Nintendo commercial that was a movie, right? Okay. With Fred Savage, basically, right? And A Christmas Story, you know, Christmas Story is, you know, about Ralphie and like, you know, you'll shoot your eye out and all this stuff. You know, all very 80s Christmas movie, even though it doesn't typically take place in the 80s. And so they kind of mashed those things together and told this really entertaining, really fun like children's adventure. And yeah, it just, you know, and it's not a giant Nintendo commercial like The Wizard was, which was nice. And it actually, I don't know, it actually brought back some nice memories of the 80s. Like I definitely was one of those kids. The concept is this kid wants a Nintendo for Christmas, right?
Sure.
And I was definitely that kid, and I definitely did not have the grades to get a Nintendo, right? So I was definitely denied one for years. And I don't necessarily hold a grudge about it.
Denied a Nintendo.
But ultimately, I mean, legit, like the first system I ever bought was actually a PlayStation. I got a job at McDonald's at 14, and I got it my damn self because I was sick of negotiating with my parents.
Man, oh man, that's just like a way to stick it to them.
Right? Yeah. I'll get a job and be responsible and buy it. How about that? Nope. Totally
is that Neil Patrick Harris?
That is Neil Patrick. So actually Neil Patrick Harris is the main character. And it's about him recalling to his daughter who desperately wants a smartphone. And he's like, you're not getting a smartphone for Christmas. He recalls to her this story about how he wanted a Nintendo for Christmas and the great lengths he went to it. And ultimately, you know, I'm not going to give anything away, but there's a lesson in the story ultimately, right? Of course. So yeah, it just was really entertaining and really fun. And yeah, you know, you ever watch something, you're like, I needed that. I didn't realize I needed that, but I did need that. You know? So yeah, I thought that was cool. I cannot recommend enough. If you got HBO Max, definitely check it out. All right, let's actually talk about some comics. How about that? We talked a little bit about Archie, but let's talk about some more comics. How about that? Time for New Release Wednesday. So let's just do it. Hallelujah. It is New Release Window. We got our picks. Let's go. Hallelujah indeed. Ashton, why don't you go first? Because I need some water. But why don't you go first? And tell us what your pick is this week.
All right. So it's funny that you're like, hey, we should just like talk about comics, whatever, because of Archie. Because guess what? My pick is also an Archie comic. No surprise there. It's been a hot minute since I picked an Archie comic as my pick, and I'm so excited about this. Archie's Holiday Magic Special one-shot. Now, first thing I have to say, and I need to get this out of the way very early on, is I love the cover art. I love the cover art. Specifically, the way Jughead is drawn here. I am simping for Jughead. I will go to my grave simping for Jughead. The ripped jeans, like the messy hair in your eye, like over his eye,
Okay.
is a vibe. I'm with it. Now moving on from that,
With that out of the way.
now that I'm done embarrassing myself. So the plot is that it's Christmas Eve in Riverdale. They're doing their, annual snowball, and Archie, which is very clever name, by the way,
You're right,
for the
yeah.
snowball. Archie has to pick who he's going to go with. The age-old, Betty Veronica love triangle is back at it, but Christmas version. So he's trying to figure out who he wants to ask to the dance. And he's having this whole like existential crisis where he's like, have I always been this decisive? Yes, you have. Like,
Yes.
am I going to die alone? Like, what is wrong with me? All of this. And so then, a spirit comes to guide him through Christmas, past, present, and future, which is very cute. And so it's going to take on this whole like Ebenezer Scrooge, like meets the Hallmark Channel type vibe. And it's going to be the best.
All right, cool. I like it. No, you know what? I was always a sucker for the holiday specials from Archie specifically. Like, I know the big two, like, well, we call them the big two. We used to call them the big two. Marvel and DC used to do them all the time, but it was always the Archie ones that I was kind of like, oh, cool. I get to get a bunch of Archie stories in one book. So can't hate on it, Ashton. I'm with it 100%.
Thanks.
My pick this week. So I don't know if you know this, Ashton, but it is Darecember.
Oh, okay. I am not aware of this. I need a definition, please.
So Darecember, I believe, I didn't do my due diligence here, but I believe Darecember was the result of YouTuber Matt Draper always doing Daredevil retrospectives on his YouTube channel in the month of December, right? And so it's kind of become this thing, and it's kind of become its own meme, right? And people on Twitter, of course, are hashtagging Darecember. It doesn't help that some of the recent MCU rumors have also contributed to this as well, right? But the other beauty of this is that Darecember also marks, or today specifically marks, the release of Devil's Reign, which is a Daredevil crossover event, or I shouldn't even say crossover event, because it doesn't really have that same cachet. It's more like an extension of the Daredevil story, and it's kind of been culminating to this point. So I've been reading Zdarsky and Chichetto's Daredevil for a couple months now. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, like straight up. And it really gets into the murkiness of superheroes taking matters into their own hands.
Ooh,
and the legality of that, and is it lawful, is it correct, where's that line, and like what happens when a hero crosses it? And Daredevil actually by accident crosses it, right? And this Devil's Reign story in a way culminates from everything that Zdarsky and Chicchetto have been doing from their Daredevil #1, which was started in 2019, I want to say, up until now. And then Devil's Reign is kicking off this week, which will be kind of like the grand finale of their run. So, I don't look forward to events, but this run is really about personal grudges and ideals instead of like earth-shattering events. You know what I mean? And and when I say ideals, I mean grudges and ideals. Like it's Kingpin and Daredevil, of course, Daredevil and the District Attorney of New York, Spider-Man and Daredevil, Detective Cole and the whole NYPD, the Libras family and the Al and Kingpin and Una and Quinn. Like it's very involved, but it's never like, it's never I need to shoot a beam into the sky and control the world. It's more about power plays. You know what I mean? And I've always found that really interesting. And it makes more interesting. It makes it more interesting story too. So I'm going to go on a little bit of rant here, right? Because it made me realize Devil's Reign, or also the Chicchetto Zdarsky run, made me realize that so many of the stories of Daredevil are about ideals, right? And it's either ideologies in regards to religion, in regards to the law, in regards to like truthfully like humanity or manhood, like, you know what I mean? Like that's been kind of a reoccurring thing. And I think for that reason, I'm gonna stick my flag in this. Daredevil is Marvel's most consistently good comic book year after year.
Wow.
And I kind of slowly came to this realization because look, I'm sure there are some rough spots. I know there are some rough spots during, and like, in the what is it? 60 plus years of Daredevil storylines, right?
Sure.
But when you really lay it out, there's a lot of really good like stretches of that series. So it's like the Sentient Ramita, Bendis and Malieve, Frank Miller and Jansen, Miller and Ramita, Brubaker and Lark, DG
Mhm.
Chichester, and like there's something about this character that brings out the best in creative teams, and I feel like the character itself to me represents what's great about Marvel because it's ironic, blind lawyer,
Mhm.
like who blind lawyer who like moonlights as a superhero, right? And
Right.
and acts justice at nighttime, right? It has
Mhm.
pathos. It's character driven. Um, and it's got the hero with a problem thing, which I think is Marvel, which I
Right.
feel is really Marvel's thing. And it's always in New York City, which I also think is like, kind of not necessary, but always a nice way to make it officially Marvel. So yeah, I just think Daredevil has been consistently um, one of the best Marvel titles, one of the best comics on the stands year after year. And so I take it to you guys. Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comments below and check out Devil's Reign this week and also check out the Chichetto and Zdarsky run because
Mhm.
it's good stuff. It's good stuff. And it is December. And I think Daredevil's my favorite Marvel character these days. I really do think he is. So yeah,
Oh,
I might have to push Spider-Man aside and like focus on Daredevil now. I don't know.
wow. That's quite a claim. I was not
That's quite a
expecting that
claim.
when you went into
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I think that's what's been going on. So that's my rant over. But definitely check out that run, especially if you're already a Daredevil fan and you haven't read it yet, because it's good. It's real good. All right. I don't know
Nice.
what that accent. I don't know what that accent was, but whatever.
We're just gonna
All
go
right.
with it.
We're just gonna go with it. Let's kick it over to Anemia now, right? Here she is with What's at Comic Shop. Here are all the premiere titles that are available this week, and then when we come back, we'll get to some news. Check it out.
What's up, Previews World? Mia here, and I'm going to give you a look at some of the new titles in stores this week. Here's what's at comic shops for the week of December 8th, 2021. And we're just getting started. The world of comics has even more to offer. So, stop at a shop already, and you might just find your new favorite thing. See ya!
All right, and thank you, Anemia, for every week giving us a rundown of some of the titles available at your local comic shop. Of course, if you want to see the full list, because that's not all, you can head over to PREVIEWSworld.com/new releases. I did have to send out a little bit of a message today to people on our social media, letting them know. Yes, we are aware that there has been some system issues with
Mhm.
PREVIEWSworld.com/new releases. That is definitely a real thing, and we are aware of it, and we are working to fix it. Particularly, the order form is
Mhm.
not available on the page for the catalog. But also, in addition to that, the item codes that people use, you can't really get you can get them without the order form. You just go to PREVIEWSworld.com/catalog or PREVIEWSworld.com/new releases, and they're all right there for every single title. So keep an eye out for that, guys. And yes, we hear you, we understand, and we're listening.
Mhm.
And there's a fix. It's coming. That's all I can say.
Yes.
There you go. All right. You want to do some news now, Ashton?
Let's do it. Let's do some news.
All right. Let's jump in.
Mhm.
I know
I'm ready.
you're already kind of like, okay. I already know. You know it's coming, but all right.
Yeah.
Let's do some news, and we'll try to get back to being upbeat afterwards. Let's go.
News.
Just a little eek of a news.
I was really expecting that to be like a downtrodden like news because of what the
Mhm.
like the headline story is here. So that caught me by surprise.
Right. It's all right. Thank you, Johnny, as always.
Yeah, so without, any further ado, our headline here is that yesterday legendary creator George Perez revealed that he has stage 3 pancreatic cancer. And at the very young age of 67, it's really surprising. So he revealed this information in a Facebook post. He said, on November 29th, I received confirmation that after undergoing surgery for a blockage in my liver, I have stage 3 pancreatic cancer. It is surgically inoperable, and my estimated life expectancy is between 6 months to a year. And then he went on to talk about some of his options, saying, I've been given the option of chemotherapy and or radiation therapy, but after weighing all the variables and assessing just how much of my remaining days would be eaten up by doctor's visits, treatments, hospital stays, and dealing with the often stressful bureaucracy of the medical system, I've opted to just let nature take its course, and I will enjoy whatever time I have left as fully as possible with my beautiful wife of 40 years, as well as my friends, family, and fans.
Wow.
So that's a heavy one. And that's really one of
Yeah, it
those
is.
things that it's unfair, right?
Yeah, it is. It totally is. Like you're 100% right about that. Like it's one of those things where I didn't want to, there was no way we couldn't talk about this, and I definitely
Right.
saw people online. It was a little weird, but I understand why people were kind of eulogizing him,
Yeah.
on social media. It's his decision, and like, you have to respect his decision, and I'm sure he's talked it out with his family.
Sure.
But yeah, just a that's a tough decision,
It
and
is.
it's kind of weird to already, again, to have to kind of, I feel like we're eulogizing him already, you know what I mean? Which is
Right.
very strange. So I did see something interesting in form of Perez was known for his intricately detailed art pieces. Like he could draw
Mhm.
pages of 200 characters on a single page, on a
Mhm.
splash page. You know what I mean? And like get into the details of every single character. I mean, that's what made his work on Infinite Crisis so like, so impressive, and books like Future Imperfect, and like just any number of titles.
Mhm.
And but one of the books he did, which is really a testament to this, is Justice League Avengers, which has been out of print
Right.
for I want to say about 2 decades now. Of course, it was a crossover between DC and Marvel for all sorts of legal reasons. That book never, came out. It was released,
Mhm.
and it never kind of got another reprint beyond I think there was an oversized hardcover and a couple of
Mhm.
initial reprints. But I saw fans suggesting that Marvel and DC, out of respect for someone who's really has contributed a lot to both of these
Yeah.
houses, um, would reprint the book and at least give the proceeds to his family. And I think that's a nice gesture. I don't know if it would
Absolutely.
be, I don't know what use it would be or how it would be used or what, but I
Mhm.
think it's an excellent gesture. Actually, so the funny thing about Justice League Avengers is they tried to do it in the 80s or late 70s, and Perez was on
Mhm.
board. He started drawing it up. I think it was Perez and Marv Wolfman, and then because it's Marvel versus DC, they couldn't
Mhm.
they couldn't agree on anything, right?
Sure. Of
Like
course
the
not.
editorial
Why would they?
editorial could not agree on who went over, who won, none of that stuff, right? And so it just sat for like about 2 decades until
Mhm.
I want to say it was Joe Quesada, and I want to say Bill Jemas, potentially, who were just like, guys, this is stupid. like
Nice.
like I think they had drawn, like I think George Perez had drawn like something like 15 pages of it already or something crazy like that, and it just been sitting
Damn.
like just like never seen the light of day. So they finally finished it, and it's
Mhm.
it's an impressive piece of work. Like it really is. Like from Kurt Busiek and George Perez. So um, you know, maybe it would be really cool if they would do that. Like I don't know what
Yeah.
purpose, I don't know to what ends, but it would be excellent if they did that. And we should do something about George Perez in the near future. I'm going to think about
Absolutely.
something to do about him, about his career, because there's plenty of worthless knowledge up here.
Not worthless.
Well, that's worth something right now. My
Sure.
dad had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The cancer sucks. I love George. Thank you, Marco.
Oh,
Thank you for sharing, buddy. I appreciate it. Yeah, rough time. And
yeah.
yeah, thoughts and prayers. I know people say that all the time, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, George Perez means a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah.
He's one of the good guys at Cons. Like people love talking to him. So
Right.
yeah, wish him all the best and his family. All right, let's switch gears because I know that was a bit of a downer, right?
Heavy. Yeah.
Heavy is very heavy. I'm going to talk a little bit about Norse mythology. And so this is a continuation of the Neil Gaiman P. Craig Russell series that is
Ooh.
currently coming out from Dark Horse, right? So two comics legends have been tackling literal legends, and it's about to come to an end. This February, Neil Gaiman and P. Craig Russell finished their comics adaptation of the Neil Gaiman novel, Norse mythology. This is going to be a stunning third and final series. The final arc will see artists Colleen Doran, P. Craig Russell, and Galen Shulman retell some of the most iconic stories in Norse mythology. But first, Ether artist David Rubin will illustrate the first issue. I cannot say Norse mythology. Norse mythology 3, number 1, will be in comic shops February 9th, 2022. It is available pre-order at your local comic shop right now. And I got to tell you, if you're a fan of fantasy art, you want to see Colleen Doran, P. Craig Russell, Galen Shulman, and David Rubin do a mythology book. You want to see this.
Nice.
So if you have not gotten on the 2 previous chapters, you definitely want to check this out because it's going to be really awesome. What else is going on in the world of nerddom, Ashton?
I'm just going to continue my streak of discussing Archie on this episode.
And being a downer. And being the bearer of bad news, too. I'm so sorry, Ashton. I didn't mean to fan out this way.
Do you know what's really rude, Troy? You know what's rude?
What?
Stealing comics. That's pretty rude.
Yes, that's pretty rude.
It's also especially rude when it's Archie comics. And do you know what I realized as I was researching this, in addition to how rude it is to steal Archie comics? This is, I think, the 3rd time we've talked about stolen collectibles on the show this year.
Yeah. It's like a thing. It's an epidemic unto itself, right? Yeah, it's really strange. Yeah.
So in this particular instance, 2,000 Archie comics were stolen from a storage locker in Philadelphia. On November 13th, a series of storage units were burglarized in the Philly area. And one of them included this massive Archie comics collection, up to, like I said, 2,000 comics. So the person who owned this locker, his name was Chris Cummins, and he said, in a statement, "I've been collecting comics since 1982, and my collection is 90% Archie, primarily Bronze Age titles, 5% Marvel books from the 70s, and 5% oddball comics, like weird and fun nonsense like Kool-Aid Man," which, I love Kool-Aid Man, so how dare you? But I think the kicker here, in addition to it being Archie comics, which, like I said, very rude, is that he said again in a later part of his statement, "The fun of collecting comics for me personally is reading them and not for any potential investment. In fact, most of my collection wasn't even bagged and boarded. As such, the value here is primarily sentimental, as many of these books were bought when my late father and I would go to comic book stores together." So that's kind of rude, just extra rude. Why? Give those back.
Get those back, right? Yeah. What are you doing with 2,000 Archie comics? Seriously. If a bunch of them show up on eBay, we're gonna know it's you. So I don't quite.
And that's the other thing. This guy tweeted out and was like, "If you're a comic book store in the Philly area and someone comes in with a suspiciously large Archie collection, can you let me know?"
Yeah, legit, 100%. So yeah, hey guys. You got your orders, you got your margin orders. If you see something, say something.
Right.
Let's bring this guy to justice. All right. Okay. So let's switch gears to vampires. So the crew behind Descender and Ascender, Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen, reteamed for an all-new series, Little Monsters. This ongoing series is set to launch from Image Comics in March 2022. So in Little Monsters, readers follow the last children on Earth, who also happen to be vampires. For longer than they can remember, these child vampires have lived a life of eternal wonder amongst the ruins of humanity. But shocking events fracture the group and set them on a path of discovery that will shatter their innocence forever. I think we talked about I forget what episode it was, but we definitely talked about how fascinating Kirsten Dunst's character in Interview with a Vampire is, because she's like this, she's like this child who's lived forever. And before you guys say anything in the comments, yes, I know Interview with a Vampire is based on an Anne Rice novel. Okay, I understand. Because I could already see it happen. It's it was a novel first. The character was in the novel. I understand. I know.
Well, actually,
I never read the novel. I'm sorry. Yeah, I just thought that as a concept, I would love to read more of that. I thought there was actually a Mark
Mhm.
Miller book. You know what? Yeah, I think the reason we talked about this before was because I think there's a Mark Miller book that has a
That
similar
sounds
concept.
familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but either way, it's a very fascinating concept. This idea of
Mhm.
the person who has lived forever, and just but still lives in the body of a juvenile. Like I just think that's really fascinating.
Yeah.
But yeah, Little Monsters will be available at comic shops on Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022. Look, if you love Ascender and Descender, and a lot of people did because it got a lot of awards, go ahead and pick this up.
Mhm.
And keep an eye on PREVIEWSworld.com/catalog for pre-order info because it's definitely coming. All right, what else we got here? Oh boy. All right. Let's have some more fun talk.
Fun. Yeah,
or
that's the
maybe
word I was
or
going to
maybe
use
not.
too.
Maybe this won't be fun at all. Actually, I want Johnny in on this because I know Johnny's got to have an opinion on this. And ladies and gentlemen, producer Johnny Rose. What's up, Johnny?
Hello and good
Golf clap.
afternoon.
There you go. So there was a scary video that kind of popped up on social media this week. Ashton, did you send it to me or did I send it to you? I don't even remember.
I think I sent it to you. I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. Johnny, can you
Yeah,
just
I think
can you just-
Troy, you sent it to her. I remember it was in our
Okay.
chat messages.
But I tagged him on
Okay.
Twitter. I don't think the logistics matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But Johnny, can you just show the video? Because we just talked about Furby last week, and here we are again. Like, just wait
Hey.
for it, guys.
Hey, wake up.
Got that rotator cuff.
Hey, there we go.
Oh, I hate it.
Ugh.
Look at the facial expressions. It's so
Yeah,
lifelike.
I know.
This isn't even the worst part because I saw another video where I think it was like the owner of the company or whoever's in charge saying what they were trying to go for with this.
Uh-huh.
And I'm pretty sure he said that in there, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, that we're meant for these robots to be a vessel for AI.
Nope.
I'm like, I don't like hearing anything saying that it's a vessel for something.
Nope.
No
Because
vessel.
Let alone
don't
AI.
want it.
You hear that in horror movies. Like I heard that word like repeated so many times in Child's Play with Chucky. I'm like, no,
Right?
no, I don't want the soul of Charles Lee Ray being transferred into this.
Charles Lee Ray.
Ugh.
Yeah,
That's
this
just-
is. I like. There
This
are no
literally
words.
is Sunny from iRobot. Like it
That's
looks.
it.
It is. It actually does look like
exactly
Sunny.
it.
It does. And that's the other thing I hate about this is how I feel like engineers are trolling us like at this point. Like I feel like they deliberately find horrifying things from movies to recreate in real life and then just post it on the internet and be like, here you go. Like have you seen the robot dogs that
yeah,
that the military and police have been using?
Boston Mechanics or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just like could you at
Darn
least put like a
Dynamics.
friendlier like make it something something like that. Boston Dynamics.
They look
But yeah,
mean.
They look
You
mean,
said what?
she said.
They look mean. Those
They look mean,
dogs.
yeah, it's
Like,
just-
they're death machines.
there's no nice way to go robot dogs.
No.
there's no nice alternative there. There's nothing you could do with that. Like it's just very disturbing. But I also want to
Dave
point
Brown says vessel for human consciousness. Ugh,
Oh no!
No,
Why?
out. No, not that either. No,
You want
like, these are-
Cyberdyne? This is how we get Cyberdyne. Skynet is right around the corner.
It's right around the
Like,
corner.
I need to know what this is for. Like, I have so many questions. I need to know what it is for beyond just saying it's a vessel for something. Okay, it is a vessel for what? What is it a vessel for? Why do we need this? What like my biggest concern, and we've talked about this so many times, is why are we flying so close to the sun for the fun of it?
Yeah.
Like, does no one have a concern that this robot's gonna melt down and start freak out and murdering people? Like, why does that
Right.
bother no one besides the three of us? It's not
And
on
so
anyone
what-
else's
You want
radar.
Ultron? This is how we get Ultron.
This is how we get Ultron. And well, the funny thing about that, Ashton, to your point, is we've seen this already, right? We've seen the AI bots that they try to like get to engage with people on social media, and then they end up becoming like, racist, sexist Nazis, like the AI does, because all it's doing is consuming content from the internet. Like that's all it's doing, like you know what I mean? And so it's just like, no, that's not good for machine learning. Like that is not a good deal. Go ahead.
The enormous problem here is exactly what you just said. When you put an AI in a position to machine learn, it's going to take whatever context it's given very, very literally, and it's not going to adapt it. So one, that creates the problem we already have, where you have robots that are just being sexist, racist, whatever, xenophobic in general, because it doesn't know the difference. So the way to counteract that is you give it some sort of ability to reason or counterbalance or have some sort of moral compass, which creates a much larger problem, because now you have robots with morality, and how is that going to end?
It's just called parenting. You've never had to raise a 5-year-old kid. So.
That's all it is, Johnny.
That's all it is. I mean, well, that's part of what we talked about last week. I mean, that's the movie AI. It's like, you know, they designed the Haley Joel Osment, like the robot child, to be there as kind of like a sympathy, you know, device for parents who may have lost a child or something like that. But you know, eventually learn to grow in love. But I've always thought it'd be really interesting to like do an analysis of films that use AI in terms of like how we view the AI. Do we view it with fear, or do we view it with intrigue, or, you know,
fear?
Yes, overall fear, pretty much. Yes, you don't see too many movies that have AI. I mean, there's also Robin Williams in like Bicentennial Man or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
But,
interesting.
anyway.
I don't know. We do have some comments here. Dave Brown seeing the brighter side of the Boston Dynamic dogs, which is like, your dog would never have to die. I mean,
if it had like a nice looking face, sure, like I'd be hit with that. But it's it looks weird. It looks like you gave a machine gun legs, and I'm not okay with that.
It really does. That is so accurate. Also, jumping back to my Matt Murdock thing, my Daredevil thing. You soggy old bimbo, which I think is hilarious. That is a great. That is fantastic, by the way.
All right.
That's amazing.
Sorry, I need a second. What were you about to say, Johnny? I'm sorry.
No, we're just gonna focus on you. This is the shot now. Troy reacting to the you soggy old bimbo.
You soggy old bimbo. I mean, it's hilarious because you soggy old Jimbo. Like it's very well done.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Right. But you soggy old bimbo says Matt Murdock, the Floyd Mayweather of the comic world. I think so. You know what? I'll take the boxing analogy because it's Daredevil and it actually works for Daredevil. Actually, Anton says Devil's Reign looks really, really good. What is the Kingsland going to do when he makes Heroes 19 Knights the Thunderbolt? I'm not sure what that means, but okay. I haven't read the first issue yet, so I might have the answers in the actual comic itself. But yeah, what else?
Cover price comics without programmed ethics and morality robots would make that instinctual decision we all have: destroy first, worry later, remove obstacles.
You're right. Yeah.
I mean, if you give a robot ethics and morality, now you have to open up an enormous discussion about rights.
You're right. Exactly. You have to.
And I think I'm a jerk because my knee-jerk reaction is robots don't deserve rights, but I'm sure there's someone out there that'll tell me I'm a jerk about it.
Right. No, I'm sure there is. And like, yeah, there's a great bit in Animatrix about that too. And it's it's very strange, very strange. Johnny, you think we got time to look at this, go back to these Furby comments from last week?
Let's move on past that.
I'm good. Okay, yeah. I mean, like, you traumatized me. Y'all traumatized me last week when you're like the Furbies in your basement preparing the stage 2.
We spent enough time on creepy AI robots. No need to rehash any more old wounds with the Furbies.
Okay, that's totally fair.
Reopen old wounds.
Okay, well, normally this is where we do a trailer, but I actually have a video that I'm going to show you guys real quick. This is the 1 to 50 fold incentive variant for the Cowboy Bebop comic coming out from Titan Comics. When we come back, I'll talk a little bit more about it, but check this out. So yeah, that is, so I think that's kind of neat actually. So it's 1 in 50 means if your comic shop ordered 50 copies, they get one of those, right? And the artwork, if you haven't guessed by now, is by Stanley Art Jerome Lau. You can see the full finish in there, and you can't pre-order it because your shop has to be able to apply for it basically. But the comic itself is coming out January 19th. So find out if your local comic shop actually has or actually will be receiving this comic, and then try to reserve it. Like that's probably the best you can do in these situations when it comes to incentive covers like that. So just want to show you guys that. I thought that was pretty neat. And now let's just do some top 5.
Heck yeah, I love top 5.
All right, let's jump in. Top 5 time. Let's go.
So when we do top 5, we ask you guys to rank your top 5, whatever it is in the nerdverse, be that comic books, movies, video games. You have whatever it is, you tell us. We would like you to give us a category of what your top 5 is. You don't always, that's okay. We'll sort it out. So let's see what you guys said. Isabella says top 5 female Marvel characters. And she starts with 5. Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, Monica Rambeau, and Kamala Khan, Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, Cassandra Lane, Ant-Girl, and Spider-Gwen.
Okay.
Love you're just like, all right.
I mean, I'm with that. I mean, like, it's her top 5, like whatever.
All right, nice. Duncan says, my top 5 favorite DC superheroes who haven't gotten their own movie. That is very specific. 5, The Question, Zatanna, The Flash, Green Arrow, and Blue Beetle.
It is kind of crazy that
getting one.
Is that what?
Isn't The Flash getting one?
The Flash is getting one, but like you said, technically hasn't received one yet. I guess is the technicality we're going for. It is kind of crazy that The Flash has never actually had a movie. Like The Flash has been in DC movies, but never actually had a movie. So it's kind of interesting. All right, what else we got?
Becca says top 5 time travel movies. 5, Time After Time, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Back to the Future Part 3, Hot Tub Time Machine, why? And Back to the Future.
Why are you hating on the Hot Tub Time Machine, Ashton? What's going on?
So tacky.
I wouldn't put it at number 2, but
no, I think that's my issue. That got way too much love.
Yeah, that's fair.
Whatever, to each their own.
Oh Lord.
I hate it here. Oh God. Brian says top 5 reasons I can never think of something for top 5 lists. It's just like having an empty brain.
I don't care what you say. I think that's funny.
It's great.
It's pretty good. I'll give him that.
My top 80s items. Troy and Johnny, you need to yell about this.
Okay.
5 is the DeLorean time machine.
Of course.
Oh, is that of course to the DeLorean?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay. 5 is Colwyn's Glaive, a proton pack. I don't even know what any of most of these things are.
The proton pack and the neutrino wand, those are the instruments used by the Ghostbusters.
Okay, all right. I'm not a big Ghostbusters person. I'm also showing my age here. 2 is the M418 pulse rifle, and number 1 is of course the lightsaber.
Is the pulse rifle from Aliens, Troy?
Yeah. I was about to say we had in one of the offices an M418 pulse rifle replica, and every time I walked into that conference room, like I could not pick it up.
You have to.
And start saying lines from Aliens.
Right, requirement.
Absolutely. What else we got?
Lost at the Con says 5 Josh Whedon's Astonishing X-Men, 4 Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four, 3 Matt Fraction's Iron Man, 2 Ed Brubaker's Captain America, 1 Brian Michael Bendis's Daredevil.
Now, just to give a little bit of context on this I think he posted after this saying that these were his top Marvel Comics runs.
Okay.
You got good taste.
I do totally love when people just give us a list and no category for it. They're just like, I like these 5 things.
Well, that's what makes it Johnny. Yes, but I have a top 5 list that I created just before the show.
Oh, okay. All right. Come on. Let's do the David Letterman. Come on, let's do it.
Hey. All right. I have to throw a pencil back over my shoulders.
Right.
Well, with our talker, we'll be talking about this in a little bit. In the new Across the Spider-Universe trailer or teaser trailer dropped. And then, of course, next weekend is when Far From Home. No Way Home.
Yeah.
Homecoming. I always they all have home in them. And it's like, Spider-Man work from home. Spider-Man work from home. But I came up with my personal favorite list of like my Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man's always been one of my favorite superheroes, especially one of my favorite superhero movies. So for me, number 5 was Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire.
Okay.
It was a good movie at the time. Not amazing, but it was just nice to see Spider-Man hit the big screen. Number 4, Spider-Man Homecoming with Tom Holland, which I really like the direction they took with that. Number 3, Spider-Man Far From Home, just because of the fact that I never thought I would see Mysterio come to the big screen. And the way he was adapted, I thought was incredibly clever by using well, spoilers if you haven't seen it by now, but the way they used the overall history or the story arc of the MCU to say like the people helping Mysterio were former employees of Tony Stark.
Right.
So, and the illusion tech instead of like, a smoke and mirrors effect like in the comics. So I really like what they did with Far From Home. Number 2 and my number 1 are kind of flip flop, and in a lot of people's lists that I've seen or have this reversed. But for me, number 2 is Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay. All right.
I think they really did a great job with the Miles Morales, with all the villains, with Catherine Hahn as Doc Ock in that movie is awesome.
Yeah.
But speaking of Doc Ock, my number 1 Spider-Man movie is Spider-Man number 2 with Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, because he did such an amazing job. Like, I don't know personally if I felt that a comic book character portrayal has met what I expected to be in Alfred Molina's Doc Ock on screen. When I saw that come out, it was amazing. So that's my top 5. So does anyone else have a top 5?
Nope. I used all of my brain power trying to keep those Spider-Man movies straight in my head.
That's totally fair.
Anton says comic book movies, Doctor Who, science fiction. There's about 5 comic book movies, Doctor Who, science fiction. So no.
Are those 2 separate thoughts?
3. I see 4 there.
Anton, I think Anton has predictive chat on, and it's like destroying his comments.
That's all right. No worries. Moving on.
All right. What else we got here? Oh yeah. So what is the poll this week, Ashton? Spoiler.
Okay, so that was actually a really great timing, Johnny. Thanks for lobbing that up.
That's why I did it. That's why I did it.
You to bomb. This week's poll asked you guys to react to the new.
Sorry, it's like you said "You the bomb," and then I heard the song "You the bomb." Say what? A you the bomb?
Amazing.
Excuse me, and so I just started dancing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I love it. So we asked you guys to react to the Across the Spider-Verse teaser trailer. We wanted to know if you guys felt really like, oh my god, about it. If you're just like, all right, that's cool, I'm with it, or if you're just like, eh. So.
I'm coming back in here for this one.
Yeah,
I'm always in here for the poll.
Yeah, you always are. There we go.
All right. So let us know in the chat, first of all, what your thoughts are. Are you like, oh my god, okay, cool, or meh?
Oh my god.
Troy, what are your thoughts on it?
Troy is on one today.
I am. I'm very tired. I got to be honest. So like my brain's like, the trailer itself. I'm gonna get a lot of crap for this, and I actually said this before in a group, and like people were giving me so much hell for it. I hate Spider-Gwen's hair. I just don't like it. I hate her hairstyle so much.
I think it's cool.
Other than that, it's cool. I like the fact that it's part 1 of 2. We're assuming it's part 1 of 2. I'm enjoying the fact that they're going to explore the continue to explore the multiverse. And in that regard, it makes me wonder if there is going to be some sort of connection in No Way Home. Even if it's just the smallest little one, if there's going to be some sort of connection to No Way Home. And like, it's interesting because the Spider-Verse is No Way Home, because the first Spider-Verse movie really did set up the multiverse concept. Like before the Avengers movies did, and before I think it was between it was before the Avengers movies did, and before this new Spider-Man movie. So yeah, or before Far From Home. So yeah, I'm very curious where they're going to go with this.
Ashton, did you want to weigh in on this? I know you're not too big on the superheroes.
Yeah, but I was still like super hype about it. I think the animation and the art was just like there was so much to look at. And even though they didn't tell you too much in the trailer, there was just so much otherwise to look at. I was super excited about it. I also know that from Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man 2099 was Oscar Isaac, I think. So
yeah,
I'm always on board for more Oscar Isaac.
I had no idea about that until I looked up Spider-Man 2099 earlier today. I was just like,
as a total side note, like, those Wired autocomplete interviews that are like on YouTube or whatever? There is like the most crackhead Wired autocomplete interview with Oscar Isaac and Pedro Pascal that you guys need to watch.
Oh, I have seen
that.
this.
Yeah,
I've seen this, and it is kind of unhinged, and it's just
Yeah.
like
funny.
it really kind of made Pedro Pascal's role in The Mandalorian all that more impressive, because I'm like, is he like this normally? Because he's so stoic on The Mandalorian, but he is like, I mean, I don't know, like he seems like a
he's
mess.
got his helmet on half the time. So.
He seems like a mess. And like
He
to quote Ashton, a hot mess any other time.
Oh yeah.
But I'm sorry, I just wanted to point that out.
Anyway, for me, I want to say, oh my god, but like Ashton said, they didn't show too much in it.
Right, yeah.
I know this was teased a little bit at the end of Into the Spider-Verse, but I am excited to see Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099 pop up. So this is like one of the few, I think the only 2099 character that came out in the early 90s that really stuck around.
It's still stuck around. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think anyone's really missing Ravager 2099. But
no. Although
I bought it, but
yeah. The Doom 2099 was actually pretty impressive. I will give him that. But yeah, I totally feel you on that.
That's
also,
true, that was good.
Yeah, shout out to Miguel O'Hara, who's like Latino and Irish.
Nice.
Right. Like, shout out to Peter David for doing that.
I'm going with okay, cool.
And actually,
71.3% are saying, "Oh my god."
Hi.
Actually, no. It actually now, thinking about him being Latino and Irish, I'm like, it kind of makes sense that Oscar Isaacs is playing him now, even though it's just a voice. I kind of feel like Oscar Isaacs. He's kind of like insert ethnicity here.
Racially ambiguous.
He's just very racially ambiguous. So I actually kind of like, that actually kind of works for me. Now that I think about it, it's playing Miguel O'Hara. So absolutely.
I feel like that's probably not something either of us should have said, but it's too late.
I mean, we here at Previews World League, we do not stand by towards Jeffrey Allen. The opinions of Jeffrey Allen are not necessarily those of. No.
You know, I will be incendiary over a minute, whatever, because he gets roles like based off of like his amorphous nature. You know what I mean? So whatever.
That was good marketing.
I don't care. That was good marketing. There you go. Good marketing. All right. What is this week's comic shop shout out?
This week's comic shop shout out, I hope it's the right one. Okay, it is great. It comes from Lee Webb and it goes to All Star Comics in Melbourne, Australia, which is quite a hike away. But so we'll show you some pictures of All Star Comics at the end of the show. When we're doing the credits roll, we'll throw some pictures up. If you want us to shout out your local comic book shop on the show, find us on social media. Tag your shop. If they don't have a handle, just leave their name and use the hashtag #SupportYourLCS. We'll find your shop, shout them out on the show, and give them some love.
Absolutely. Like we always want to give comic shops some love, no matter where in the world they are, as you can see today. So definitely shout out to All Star Comics.
And Troy, if I may interrupt, you know what else you can find at your friendly local comic shop?
The holiday gift guide.
The 2021 holiday gift guide.
Hey. Yes, you can. Absolutely. So we release a holiday gift guide every single year. And this year is no different. It's basically a collection of items, quite a few actually, from various genres or various categories throughout your local comic shop that are easily available, easily pre-orderable or orderable at your local comic shop. So like I mentioned earlier in the show, go to PREVIEWSworld.com. It's on the front page right now, the holiday gift guide for 2021. If you click on it, you'll be able to browse the whole thing for free. And on top of that, the items are actually hyperlinked. So you see that little flash right there on the page, right? That's because you can click on the items and it'll take you directly to the actual order page. And then if you scroll down, right, and go to order and you are in pull box, you could order your comics directly. So absolutely, definitely check that out, because that's definitely a lot of cool stuff that if you're a last minute shopper, you know, look, everybody's going to go to Target, everyone's going to go to Costco or Sam's Club or Macy's or whatever, right? But you want to be different, go to your local comic shop, because I guarantee you they have something that the geek in your home will not expect. All right.
Ooh, that was a good sell.
There you go. Look at that. I did it. Marketing. Also on PREVIEWSworld.com.
Can we play just that clip in tomorrow's marketing meeting?
Yes, please.
So we had this clip from our show, and it's just cuts to Troy just marketing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Please do. Also on PREVIEWSworld.com right now, I did an interview with I was about to butcher that name. Gab Contreras, which is not even that hard to like. It's spelled the way it sounds. It sounds the way it's spelled. But she is the colorist for Dirtbag Rapture, which is a series from Oni Press in comic shops right now. I actually kind of noted in the interview that this book is about the afterlife and the supernatural and death. Typically, you get kind of like a dark comic, right? You'll get something a little bit moody, right? But Gap is going in the opposite direction and giving us something really like just kind of some eye candy, something that really pops, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting. And it actually still lends itself to the supernatural qualities. So yeah, I got to talk with her a little bit about her process, and then she shows us her coloring process. So if you have ever been curious about how comic books are made, definitely check that out. And I do these interviews on a regular. It's called Get Graphic. They're typically every single week, except for certain weeks they don't always pan out, but but at the same time, yeah, if I do these great fun process interviews with creators, artists, colorers, letterers on a regular basis that you should check out every Monday on PREVIEWSworld.com. Also tomorrow, the panel Critical Role Vox Machina, right, is tomorrow. Thursday, Enemy is hanging out with the crew tomorrow, and they're going to be the panel, and they're going to talk about the Critical Role series from Dark Horse, the first volume, and hopefully get some fun insight into the world of CCGs and role-playing card games, role-playing games, and all that jazz. And I think we might get some fun cosplay too, because some of our guests are seriously into the cosplay. Absolutely. So yeah, if you're a fan of Critical Role, and I know a lot of you are, you definitely want to go check that out, because that's going to be dropping tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, on our YouTube and our Twitch and our Facebook, and also free comic book days as well. Outside of that, like, follow, and subscribe just me at Previews World.
Rude.
Okay, fine, Ashton. Where can people find you?
Rude. You can find me at Free Comic Book Day on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And like I said at the top of the show, we're getting ready to announce the Free Comic Book Day books for next year. So you're definitely going to want to follow me on those pages so you can find out what that's going to be.
Yeah, I don't like how Johnny did the Putin Reagan, like Back to the Future 2 push aside so you could talk about Free Comic Book Day. I don't know if Johnny gets that reference. I hope he does. But but yeah, definitely give us a follow. Definitely like and subscribe. And thanks for hanging out with us, guys. It's been fun. This has maybe been a bit weird, but you know what? We're here for that as well. You know what? Why
if I may, Troy, can we give people a little sneak peek about what's coming up in the coming weeks?
Yes, please do.
So we actually did prep work this week. Hey, we have shows lined up. All right. So coming up next week, we're going to be talking. We did a little bit of talk about this today. We're going to be talking a little bit more about as the speculation for No Way Home has basically reached a fever pitch. We're going to talk about whether or not you think speculation of movies or anything like this, does it ruin your overall enjoyment of it with all the fan theories, the YouTube videos, and just you can't even avoid, be on social media without some kind of fan theory being out there. Right, so we're going to talk about fan speculation next week. December 22nd is going to be our holiday show, and we are going to hopefully have some giveaways for everyone if we can get the red tape ironed out.
Oh man.
No, we can do it. We've done it before. It's just been a while since we've done a contest on the show. And yeah,
so
thank you, Johnny. So stay tuned. Thank you. And I just want to end on one note, because Cover Price Comics understands my reference. You must have the hot chili special. Thank you. Cover Price Comics got my joke. Thank you very much, sir. I don't care if Ashton or Johnny didn't either. Normally Johnny gets those, but he didn't get that one. Anyway, all right.
I got the reference. I'm a big
Back to the
Future 2 fan. I was letting you wrap up the show before I decided to interrupt about what's coming up in the coming weeks.
Okay.
Let me have your moment.
Johnny's got his eyes on the prize. He's actually doing his job. Me, on the other hand, I am Troy Jeffrey Allen.
Nice. I'm Ashton Greenwood.
We'll see you guys at the Spinner Rack. Catch you next week.
You must have the hot chili special.